Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. It's a pleasure to be here with you and spend some time with you. I want you to give Greg a round of applause and Alan a round of applause, please. How many have major goals you want to achieve? Raise your hands. Major goals you want to achieve. Shake someone's hand on your right and left. Look them in the eyes and say, you have greatness in you. Do that right now. Say, you have greatness in you. Yesterday, I had an opportunity to watch. I was taking some very deep notes. Bob Proctor, wasn't he phenomenal? Give Bob a round of applause, please. I want to share something with you. I want to share with you my journey. All of us have journeys. Would you agree? Yes. We all have journeys. I want to share with you my journey. And my journey does not include Think and Grow Rich. My journey and what it takes to develop your greatness, it goes beyond Think and Grow Rich. In all due respect to it, and all of the other speakers that I've seen and all of the other books that I read, I had a different kind of journey. And so I want to share with you, because all of us have things to overcome. Am I correct? All of us have things to deal with. Am I correct? All of us got a story. Am I correct? How many of you got a story? Raise your hands, please. All right. So I want to share with you my journey of what I know. And I use myself as an experiment. And I also did it with my kids, and then I've been working with people. But I want to share with you, he shared a lot of things. I'm going to share with you some missing pieces, major pieces in developing your greatness and what it takes to get there, because I was in South Africa 2 weeks ago. In fact, I've been on a tour with Sir Richard Branson. It was very interesting. As Scott said, he is crazy. You know, we were in Malaysia and Perth and Adelaide, Australia, and Kuala Lumpur, and then we were in Singapore, and we also in several other countries. But the thing was that just watching him, he's an interesting fellow. And then I was in South Africa with Robert Kiyosaki and T. Harv Eker. Those are characters as well. Yeah, especially Robert Kiyosaki, boy, some kind of wonderful. These are some interesting guys. But I've been on this journey for a very long time. Being born in an abandoned building on a poor section of Miami, Florida called Liberty City with a twin brother, and being adopted. This is Mrs. Mamie Brown. She was, first, she only had a third grade education. She was a domestic worker on Miami Beach. And she was a person that had a love for children. She never had any children herself. That's Wesley and I. She adopted us. She was 46 at the time. And which one am I, on the right or left? I'm the cute one. I'm on the left. All right, yeah. And she adopted us. And so she was a domestic worker on Miami Beach. She cooked for families, and we ate the food left over from the families that she cooked for. And they were very kind and generous people. They said, maybe whatever food is left over, you can pack it up and take it home to those children that you have adopted. And she kept their children, and we wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that she kept. And my mother could bake, too. Mama could bake a sweet potato pie so good you couldn't eat it with your shoes on. Yeah. You had to take your shoes off so you could wiggle your toes. And walking around these big, beautiful mansions on Miami Beach that we had to clean. I would say, Mama, and she said, what is it, boy? I said, one day I'm going to buy you a big, beautiful home just like this. And I did that. I bought the first home I bought for her was 10,000 square feet, 12-foot deep swimming pool on a golf course, and she loved that home. How many have somebody special you want to do something for? Raise your hands, please. I'm going to share with you and how you can do that. Now, I want you to think about your financial freedom number. What amount of money that once you earn that, you'll be stress-free, give you more choices, allow you to contribute to the causes you believe in, allow you to spend more time with your children. One of the things I'm doing is pulling back. A lot of things I used to do, just pulling back down, spend more time with my grandchildren. They know about me, but they really don't know Papa. That's what they call me, Papa. How many want to spend more time with your family? Raise your hands, please. I want you to think about your financial freedom number. How many of you know that when you have a lot of money, it could give you a lot of choices? Am I right? People say money won't make you happy, but everybody want to find out for themselves. Rita Davenport said money ain't important, but it's right up there with oxygen. And let me tell you something, fellas, even if you're homeless as I am, you got some money, women find something cute on you. Oh, my boyfriend got eyelashes like Tom Cruise, baby. I used to be so broke, I walked past a bank and tripped the alarm. Creditors would call the house, my children would answer the phone and say, my daddy said he ain't home. And sometimes I would answer the phone. May I speak to Les Brown, please? Sorry, but he's not here. You sound like Les Brown. Don't you go there, big boy. Oh, my God. Oh. So I want to take you on a journey. It's an interesting thing. Booker T. Washington said, judge a man not by what he accomplishes, but what he had to overcome for his accomplishment. And I was in South Africa. A guy was teaching the Napoleon Hill concept. And I found it, in all due respect, an insult. Because there were people in the audience who walked there 4 to 5 miles barefooted. There were people in the audience who were in tents. And this guy was saying to these people, all you have to just change your thinking. These people are living out in tents. They brought me there with a suit on. It was 40-degree temperature. I had shoes on. I had a coat, and I was comfortable. And these people are just 20 years outside of a government that denied them an education, outside of a government that they had to have identification to walk from one division, a province to the other, outside of a government that restricted their access. I'm sitting in the lobby of the hotel with some people who look like me, and they say, could you be here 20 years ago? And it says, no. So he's saying to these people who are living out in a tent, who get up in the morning, they got a bucket to relieve themselves, and they got to go look for some clean water, and they got outdoor toilets, and they got these tents. They walk there 4 to 5 miles barefooted. And here's what blew my mind. Here's what, first, anyhow, I'm looking at this idiot. These people, as they were sitting there, and they gave me 20 minutes, and I spoke. I did like Bob Proctor yesterday. I took an hour and 20 minutes. And the reason I did, there was something I was working on that I wanted to get, that he had not a clue, had nothing to do with the mind, had nothing to do with the heart. That's what Bob talked about. Remember that? He talked about the mind and talked about the heart. Let me tell you what. And what I was working on with these guys, because I had been there, what I was looking for was working on. He had not a clue. See, a full-bellied man can't tell an empty-bellied man how to have a sense of fulfillment, give him a sense of direction. What I was working on, and I want you to write this down, on their spirit. So you want to change? How many like to change some lives? Raise your hands, please. I'm going to share with you a 3-dimensional process that allowed me to break into this industry. How many like to position yourself as an expert? Raise your hands, please. I didn't show you this video to impress you, but to impress upon you. You have something special. You have greatness within you. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. And what we've been doing is getting a lot of information. Trust me on this. If information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy. Am I making sense to you of this? How many of you have been to a lot of seminars and got a lot of information? Raise your hands, please. How many have a college education? Raise your hands, please. Okay, now, so you've gotten a lot of information. So how many of you know that, I'm not asking you how many of you have major goals you want to achieve. All of you raise your hands, am I right? But let me ask you another question, and I've been reflecting on this. How many of you know that I'm a 2-time cancer conqueror? And so at this stage of my life, I'm very glad and I'm very grateful I've been given grace to speak to you. Because last year, and Greg knows it, that cancer had metastasized my body in 7 different areas and even 40% of my T1 vertebrae. Then they gave me Lupron, and my God, I put 55 pounds on me. And so I was fighting cancer and type 2 diabetes. But let me ask you a question. How many of you know if you had your life to live over again, you could have done more than what you've done thus far? Raise your hands. Now, so ladies and gentlemen, that's why you're here. That's why you're here for the Secret Knock, because you know there's something about you. You know it. You know it in your heart. You can't exactly prove it when you look at your bank account. You can't exactly prove it when you look at some of your accomplishments, but it's something about you. How many of you know people who should be here? Raise your hands. And the reason that they're not here is because they don't know what you know. You know something. You know. It was Howard Thurman. He says, there's something in each and every one of you that waits and listens to the voice of the genuine in yourself. And if you cannot hear it, all of your life, your days will be spent on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. And there's something about you that you've said in your heart of hearts, nobody will ever pull my strings again. There's something about you while people are working on jobs that they hate and waiting for them to come and say to them, we're going in another direction. There's something about you. I'm going to be proactive. I'm going to find a way to pull my own strings. There's something different about you. There's something uncommon about you. One great American said, I choose not to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to live from hand to mouth. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the still calm of utopia. I will never cower before any master, nor bend to any threat. It's my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid, face the world boldly and say, this I have done. This is why you're here. There's an uncommon desire in you. There's a voice in you that says, there's more, there's more, there's greatness in me. Give yourselves a round of applause. Come on, bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. It's all right, baby. It's all right. It's all right. Sure. Give me a video, please, please. Yes. Yes, there's something there. There's that voice, that voice. Now, let me share something with you. That voice. Can you get that slide back up? No, not that. Go back to the PowerPoint, please. I'll tell you when we got a PowerPoint presentation. I have it. I have the power. Then, okay, that came from back there. They got the power. So now, why is this picture here? Something that Bob said yesterday, but he didn't deal with it because none of these guys know about this. This has not been their experience. They didn't have to deal with it. Napoleon Hill went around and talked to people who were accomplished in a system created for them with all the advantages. He talked to top achievers. So they didn't have to deal with what I had to deal with, and some of you in here had to deal with. Between 0 and 5, he said this, that we develop permanent personality characteristics. How many of you remember that? Good. Okay, now, here's something else. Between 0 and 5, the only person I've ever seen write about this, in all my years of reading all the books, and I've read hundreds of books, you name them, if it's a Martin Seligman, Learned Optimism, 26 years, the most exhaustive study done on self-esteem. If it's Alan Dushman, Change or Die. If it's Robert Collier's Secret of the Ages. If it's Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret in the World. I've been doing this for years. I'm 69 years young. I've been doing this for over 43 years. And trial and error to find out what works. Some of you want to know what works, all right? Good, and I'm going to give you something to do. But here's what happens. Between 0 and 5, in this movie called Magnolia, Tom Cruise. Never saw the whole movie, but this deals with what I'm talking about. Woke up 3 o'clock in the morning. How many of you ever heard something in a movie and it impressed you, it grabbed you? Raise your hands, please. And in this movie, he said, we might be through with our past, but our past is not through with us. That's worth writing down. How many of you had some things that happened to you in the past that affected your present? How many of you have seen it happen to other people? It affected them, right? And you just couldn't shake it off saying, get over it. Just think positive and be enthusiastic and everything will be all right. How many of you know that's a bunch of crap? Come on, be real now. Come on now. Let's get over it and just deal with it. It's not just that simple. It's not, am I right? Come on, am I right? Don't be ashamed. It's not just that simple. And so what happens during that time, something happens. And Seligman talked about Learn Optimism. A voice is formulated. And that voice is yes or no. Most people don't even know it. And 9 or 10 of our choices come out of that voice. And so what really got me when I started thinking about it, because Donald Trump, his father gave him $200 million. How many of you know if I give you $200 million, you got a good shot of becoming a billionaire? Raise your hands, please. I mean, really, am I right? My mother gave us 2 pieces of sugar cane. Anybody ever had a sugar cane? Raise your hand. All right. Okay, something up in here. So I used to do a tour with Donald Trump, and it was called MIT, Millionaires in Training. I was amazed, primarily white audience. They would pack the room, and he spoke in the afternoon. I mean, I spoke in the afternoon. He spoke in the morning. By the time I came in the afternoon, the room was like 90% empty. That blew me away. I wanted to say, hey, idiots, hello, idiots. Unless your father gave you $200 million, you need to listen to me. I had 2 pieces of sugar cane. I made $65 million from 2 pieces of sugar cane. Which one would you want to listen to? A guy whose father has given him $200 million, or the guy who started out with 2 pieces of sugar cane? Which one would you listen to? Am I making sense? I'm not saying this to impress you, but to impress upon you what Booker T. Washington said: judge a man not by what he accomplishes, but what he had to overcome for his accomplishment. And so when I was talking to these guys in the tent, do you know what they did? When they got ready to leave, and I was saying to the minister, look, it's only 23 of them. We have several cars, so standing room only here. Why can't we split them up and put some of them in our car? In the cars, we got 4 seats available in my car. They got about a 4-mile walk. You know what he said? We don't do that. And so well, guess what these guys did? They got ready to go out in the cold, wind blowing. And they did something that blew my mind. And they got in step with each other. They got up front. And then they began to sing, oh, Jesus, stand by me. Oh, Jesus, stand by me. Oh, Jesus, stand by me. And all I could think as I was standing there with tears coming down my eyes, here these guys going to an area like a reservation where we have Native Americans, where there are tents, and it's 41 degrees, no blankets. They're barefooted, walking 4 miles, and they found a song in their heart. And I come from a country that I consider the greatest country in the world, the land of opportunity. And more people committed suicide in my country, the United States of America, than people who died in car accidents last year. And they're singing, and all they've got is a tent and a bucket for their waste, and have to go out and build a fire, an outdoor bathroom, or go and relieve themselves in a little polluted creek. Oh, Jesus, stand by me. Oh, Jesus, stand by me. And to me, what I wanted to know, when I started looking at this area, how do you make it if you are in what appears to be an impossible place? Because I applied the principles that I learned and studied. And when I became the top salesman at the company where I worked, that is still around today, and the tradition was, the policy was, if you're the top salesman, you will become the sales manager. And I said, well, I've tripled everybody's sales. I'm excited. They called me into the office, and I was getting ready for my promotion. And they said, no, we can't promote you. Why? What, somebody beat me? No. Why? It will lower morale. Be a team player, Brownie. Team play. You don't need to do this. But look, I'm married. I got 2 kids, man. Okay, don't. Okay, all right. So they don't want me to be the sales manager, but let me make the money. When I get the sales manager's money. No, we can't pay you that unless you're the salesman. Wait a minute, come on now. I earned this, man. I'm not asking you to give me nothing. Come on, man. I worked my behind off. Come on. I've trained 4 people that you put over me. Come on, I've been a team player. No, Brownie, we can't do that. Then another job was on. Using the principles that I learned, principles that you study. Became top salesperson again. You know what they told me this time? This is too much money for you. And they cut my commission. And so what Bob didn't talk about that many of you have to do, but he did allude to one. So there I was in the radio. So I stopped doing the sales because I said, I'm not going to have somebody tell me I'm making too much money because I know how to sell. And so here's how you change people's lives. And Bob talked about it. This guy, remember Bob talked about that guy who came into his life? Then we hear about how Jim Rohn changed Tony Robbins. And y'all remember, huh? Yeah. How many of you had an intervention? Somebody has had an impact on you. How you make major shifts in people's lives is I was talking to a guy named Lane. Lane, you know Lane. Here, Lane picked me up at the airport. Lane read 3 Feet from Gold. A lot of people read it, but it resonated with him. And he, without even knowing Greg, was going around with a ruler. Why? Because it made a shift in his life, and he sought Greg out. Now he's the vice president of the company. What happened? I believe, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I'm doing with my life is to train 100,000 voices of hope outside of politics and outside of religion, both of which I believe polarize and divide people. But ordinary people who have an ordinary message of accomplishment and teach them how to give people hope, and that's hope in the future that gives you power in the present, number one. Number two, give them a vision of themselves beyond their circumstances and mental conditioning and convert that unconscious voice that's in their head. And 3, something that is being done here, create a community of collaborative, achievement-driven relationships. So with his relationship with Greg, Lane's life has changed. So this guy, I was just a disc jockey. So this guy says to me, Les Brown, you're more than a disc jockey. But I was comfortable there. I did that. I can master a microphone. And he said, no, you can do more. How many of you ever had somebody say something to you about that they saw something you didn't see it yourself? Raise your hands. But I couldn't see it because Mama was a cafeteria worker and a domestic worker on Miami Beach. I couldn't see myself. He said, Les, you can do more than be the Les Brown, the man about town. I want you to get his book. This is my mentor. Had it not been for this guy, I did not know this Les Brown existed, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't have a clue. When his daughter Nika called me and said, Les, I want you to write forward for Dad's book. He told me to call you. I started crying like a baby. She said, what's wrong? What's wrong? I said, because had it not been for your father, I would not be me. I did not know I was me. Remember he said, Howard Thurman, there's something in each and every one of us, the voice of the genuine, that if we do not hear, all of our lives we spend on the ends of strings that somebody else pulled. I was working WBKO. Bert Charles didn't like me. I didn't like him. It was a hostile environment. I love radio, but it was very stressful for me. I was in this environment. Marion White says, when you don't have enough courage or insight to know you have outgrown a situation, it's time to move on. Life will move on you. Okay, and I did not know. I couldn't hear that voice in my head. And even though I had an external voice, he spoke to me and I didn't get it. Well, there was something missing when he spoke to me. And so here's what we have to do. We have to create a shift, a major shift. And when I had you shake someone's hand on your right and left, it's a gradual process. Let us say together, it's a process. How many of you know that even when you hear the truth, you don't just jump to it? Raise your hands, please. It's a process. You got to be patient. It's a process. So he expanded my mind a little bit, so I started seeing myself as a promoter. So I brought these guys to town, and they didn't know who I was, and I didn't know who they were in 1973. That's Michael Jackson standing down front. I'm standing in the back. They didn't know who I was going to become, and I didn't know who they were going to become. When I had you to shake someone's hand on your right and left and say, you have greatness in you, you have no idea whose hand you just shook. That's an unrepeatable miracle. That person right now judged not according to appearances, but righteous judgment. Eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor is it in the heart of mankind what God has in store for you. That hand that you just shook has miracle working power. That hand that you just shook has the ability to do things that you can't even begin to imagine now. Shake that hand again and say, I'm glad you're here. Do that right now. Say, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here too. So, ladies and gentlemen, so I got on this path that this guy told me was available to me. And as my vision began to expand, I went from being a concert promoter to a state legislator. Anybody here would like to make a difference in your community? Raise your hands, please. I'm going to share something with you that will allow you to do that. I passed 14 bills my first term. Now, if you look at this guy who's a disc jockey and this guy here, he's a totally different person. Here's what I know about you, and I don't even know you. There are dimensions of you. Write this down. When you listen to what I'm going to give you, it affects you three ways. It affects your mind, it affects your heart, and affects your spirit. Mind, heart, and spirit. What I'm going to share with you, how to begin to have a three-dimensional impact on people to create a shift. The information can't get this. And so I did not know that I had the ability to do that. He got me out of my comfort zone. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman mind has been, know what he talked about. He says, once you do something beyond that which you've already, unless you attempt to do something beyond that which you've already mastered, you will never grow. I was mastering broadcasting. I can do a radio show with my eyes closed. You can wake me up in the middle of the night, put me in a city with a microphone. I can light them up. Trust me on that. That's what I could do. But he said, Les, if it's familiar, if you can master it, if it's something that's comfortable for you, he said, you'll never discover your greatness. He said, run away from it if it's familiar. Run away from it if you can do it with your eyes closed. He said, you need to stretch. You need to be in a situation that makes you uncomfortable. That's where your greatness is. You got to set up camp outside of your comfort zone. Why most people won't do that? Because you're going to make a lot of mistakes and you're going to have a lot of failures. Write this down. You will fail your way to success. 86% of people allow their fear of failure to outweigh their desire to succeed. That's the only way that you can discover your greatness. I had to face a lot of no's and a lot of rejections in order to get AT&T, Procter & Gamble, McDonald's Corporation. I spoke for Procter & Gamble 3 weeks ago. They paid me more in 1 hour than 90% of the American public earned working for a whole year. And I don't tell you that to impress you, but to impress upon you. Where I come from, trust me on this. I'm telling you what I know. You've got greatness within you. I had blocks for years. I thought I was crazy. And then what drove me, there's several things that can get you. I was reading Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. I've read it probably about 12 times. But this is my mother. I wanted to take care of her. I wanted to be able to provide for her. She's 89 there. I took care of her. Once I turned 18, she never had to pay another bill. And so I don't know how many want to do something special for somebody in your life. Raise your hands, please. And so I'm suggesting to you, one of the things I'm doing, I encourage people to have personal goals, your financial goals, and then your social commitment. Every time I speak, I encourage men to get their PSA test, their digital rectal examination, because I'm a 2-time prostate cancer conqueror. Last year, this time, my PSA was 1,850. Now it's 0. I'm cancer-free, debt-free, and drama-free. Thank you. Thank you. And so what happens is this. Write this down. Life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will automatically take over. All entrepreneurs have to face rejections. All entrepreneurs have to face failure. 8 out of 10 millionaires have been financially bankrupt. Life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what you want, What you don't want will automatically take over. When we get on a plane, they tell us before we take off, fasten your seatbelt. Why? Because you're going to experience some turbulence before you reach a comfortable altitude. All hell is going to break loose. How many know what I'm talking about right now? All right? And so I want to take care of my mother. I was in pursuit of my dream. I was elected to the Ohio legislature, chairman of the Human Resource Committee, the Education Committee, passed 14 bills. I was a formidable debater. I was going to the Senate, then to the Congress, then statewide office, and my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. And my brothers and sisters saying, Leslie, we're going to put mom in a nursing home. I said, no, you won't. Leslie, we knew you would say that. We've interviewed the best homes in Dade County, and we found the best one. I said, listen to me. I said, don't do that. Don't touch her. I said, I'll come down there, take care of her. Leslie, you have a political future. Wesley, I don't care anything about that. So I had a problem. How can one woman raise 7 children who couldn't take care of themselves, but 7 grown people couldn't take care of one woman? Oh, no. No. How many of you know you can have goals and dreams and somebody say, wherever you are, that's where you want to be? That's bull. That's bull. Sometimes, but there's things that can happen. How many of you know that, all right? I gave up my political ambition. How many of you know that things can happen that can derail your dream and put your life on hold? Raise your hands, please. I was not going to allow her to be put in a nursing home. I changed direction. I did make the choice to be there, to bathe her, to clean her. Why? That was my choice. But I couldn't run for state representative from Florida. I was living in Columbus, Ohio. Sometimes things happen in life. How many of you have had something happen that interrupted your dream? See, yes, this series I'm going to give you is going to take all that into account because it came at a time, this revelation came during a tough time in my life. I was on the 21st floor of the Penobscot building in Detroit, Michigan. I was bathing in the sink down the hall in the bathroom, hiding in the closet when the janitorial staff came in the middle of the night. So here I was, all of the things that I learned from Mike Williams, and during this breakthrough time, because I did not know that 95% of people who filed bankruptcy did so because of medical expenses. How many of you know one sickness can wipe out a fortune? Raise your hands, please. One sickness. You hear me? And I thought when I went down to Florida and had $380,000, I had some money. That's nothing when it comes to medical expenses. I thought that when you had health insurance, they pay for everything. They have a cap if you don't know. They don't pay for everything. How many of you know that? Raise your hands, please. And so there I was. And then I had to make some choices. I had to take another direction. Let us say take another direction. Reinvent yourself. So I couldn't become a disc jockey down there. Einstein said the thinking that had brought me this far had created some problems that this thinking can't solve. I had to reinvent myself. Some of you in this room have to reinvent yourself at this stage of your life. So I decided to get into this area here. I decided to apply the things that I had learned. And one of the things, I want you to write this down, mental resiliency. Mental resiliency. They talk about mindset, being able to take a hit. Mental resiliency. See somebody taking care of somebody who used to take care of you, bathing them. They're now your baby. Mental resiliency, not breaking down. The reason that we celebrate Nelson Mandela's 95th birthday, because apartheid, for 26 years, they caged his body, but they couldn't cage his mind. They were trying to break his spirit. Every time I heard no, I worked on myself. When you listen to what I'm going to give you, it will give you a dimension, it will give you access to a dimension of yourself that you never heard before. You will not get from any of these other players. Trust me on this. Not bragging you, but they just never came through this journey. And so, how many of you have a college education? Raise your hands. Very good. How many of you ever given a lecture at Harvard? Raise your hands. Okay, that's about 5 of you. Oh, good. Shake your hands on the table around your left. If you didn't raise your hand, say, that's in my future. Do that right now. Do that right now. Yeah. Yeah. See, I wanted to know, after Yeah. What I'm going to send you, what you're going to have to download, and I'm going to give Greg the link. I wanted to know if what I'm doing works. I didn't go around and interview people who were top achievers because their journey was not my journey. They had the complexion of connection. I didn't have the benefit of that. So I needed to know what works. How many of you want to learn how to make it against the odds? Raise your hands, please. Good. So what I'll give you, trust me on this. It's going to change your life. So I've given 4 lectures there, and I'm going to give some more. I'm going to teach you how to begin to position yourself as an expert. And as you listen, it's going to open up doors and ideas in your mind that you don't know. When I set out on this journey, I did not plan on doing a PBS special, done 8 of them. And I also was paid $5 million to do a talk show that was sponsored by King World, highest rated, fastest canceled talk show in the history of television. At least I had one. As you listen, you're going to get some breakthroughs. You're going to start seeing some things that you weren't able to see before. Got the highest award from National Speakers Association, Golden Gavel Award from Toastmasters, selected among the top 5 in the world. Now, I'm not telling you this to impress you, but to impress upon you. When you look at that picture there, no one would have predicted that I'll be here. And I'm saying to you, when you look at the people around your table, you don't know who you are looking at. You have no idea. There's greatness there. And they're here at this point in time. There's some people who were here yesterday. They're not here today. You know why? I only attract greatness. You and I are cut from the same cloth. And so who'd have thought? Who'd have thought coming from sugarcane? This is what I'm doing this, I don't know, we're Kuala Lumpur. I'm doing this thing here. And this is Richard Branson and I, and another guy named Keith Harrington. We were over there in Singapore and Malaysia. Who'd have thought? I was just in South Africa. Here's what my goal is to train 100,000 voices of hope. And I want to, here's what I'm going to do. How much time I have? I'm going to end on time. What is this? No. I'm not going to do a Bob thing. I'm going to be good. No, what time is it? Yeah. Okay, good. I'm going to end up quickly because I can't get into the methods. Okay, here's the first principle. The 9 principles of life enrichment. Here's the 9 principles of greatness. Here's the first one. Each of us can achieve far beyond our horizons in avenues of life we have never explored. I'll repeat it again. Each of us can achieve far beyond our horizons in avenues of life we have never explored. Now, there are 9 others, and if you email me at yes@lesbrown.com, I'll send the rest of them to you. But when I said, Mike, I can't teach this unless I can model it. So that's why I did all of these various things, showing you a track record. Did I show you a track record of accomplishing and doing things? And I can just say to you that as you look at yourself and look at your goals and dreams, that you have something special. You have greatness within you. Let us say together, it's possible. I can live my dream. It's necessary. Write that down. It's necessary. You think about your dream. You cannot be casual about this. You've got to decide it's necessary. If you're casual about your dream, as Bill Bailey would say, you will end up a casualty. You've got to decide it's necessary. That I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make that dream become a reality. I'm willing to face defeats, face rejection. I'm willing to go after that dream and don't have 2 pennies to rub together. I don't care what people say, how great the odds are. They told me, they said, Mr. Brown, if you stop taking this Lupron, the cancer's going to come back. I said, let me ask you something. If I keep on taking it, you're saying I'm going to die of a heart attack, right? Yes. But if I stop taking it, you said the cancer's going to come back. I said, is there any chance that it won't? He said, slim to none. I said, I'll take slim. If your chances of your reaching your goal is slim to none, I'm putting my life on the line for what I'm telling you right now. Take slim. Because there's something in you that says that dream you can have that does not fit within the realm of logic. That's why my favorite book says, lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. You will be directed. The people, the resources, the contacts, everything that you need to make it become reality will show up for you. Let us say together, I love my dream. My dream is possible. It's necessary. It's me. It's hard. How many of you know it's hard? Raise your hands, please. It's hard. It's hard. Some dreams are hard. Trust me, this path that I travel to get myself positioned as an expert, to compete against people with PhDs and MBAs and years of experience, to establish myself as a credible resource for corporate America. How many of you know that was not easy? Raise your hands, please. I could have very easily given myself a pass. Don't have a college education. Don't even know who my father and mother is. No. I could have given myself a pass. Labeled educable, mentally retarded, no corporate experience. Write this down. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. Stay the course. Shake someone's hand on your right and left. Look them in the eyes and say, I can do hard. Do that right now. Say, I can do hard. Some of you are doing hard right now. It's hard, ladies and gentlemen. It's hard pursuing a dream when the person you are married to don't see the dream. When the person who should be there encouraging you are working against you. It's hard to stay the course when your children start going crazy. Hard to stay the course when people don't honor their word and keep their commitments and you don't have the money. When life catches you on the blind side. How many of you know it's hard? Raise your hand. And how many of you had to do hard? Raise your hands. No. And how many of you, when you did it, it gave birth to a part of yourself that you didn't know? Raise your hands. Does that make sense? Yes. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just end up right now. A lot of things I want to share with you, but I'm in now. What are y'all doing? No, I'm sorry. That's what happened when you turn 69. I'm sorry. My mother used to go to church and say, I thank the Lord for waking me up in my right mind this morning. I said, Mama, why y'all say that all the time? She said, don't worry. You live long enough, you'll find out. I went in a room the other day to get something. I got in there. I couldn't remember what I was looking for. I came out, remembered what I was looking for. I went back in, found it. Then I couldn't remember what I was looking for. One of my children said, Daddy, you need some Ginkgo biloba, you know. So I went down to Walgreens. I walked around the store. The man said, may I help you? I said, I forgot why I'm here. He said, you need to go over there and get something for your memory. I went over there. I bought it. I took it home. Now I can't remember where I put it. So when I got up this morning, I said, I thank the Lord for waking me up in my right mind this morning. Oh, my God. I used to laugh at him now, whatever. But I tell you, old age, boy, let me tell you, Betty Davis said, it's not for wimps. I'm telling you. You should have seen me getting ready for you all this morning because I don't dye my hair. I have allergic reaction. But I got out all my mascara, covered all the gray that I can. Sometimes you got to hook this stuff up. I'm sorry. Unless you look distinguished with your gray hair. At 69, I'm not trying to look distinguished. I'm trying to look young, all right? Look. So I'm going to give you this link. Yeah. I'm going to give you this link because something happened to me. Sleeping on the floor of the Penobscot building, 21st floor. 21st is important. 7 is my favorite number. I'm one of 7 children that my mother adopted. I was born February 17th. My phone number is 702. My social security number is 267. They'll tell you 7 is my lucky number. Joshua marched around the walls of Jericho 7 times. Naaman dipped himself in the river Jordan 7 times. Did I tell you 7 is my lucky number? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have Julie send you a link to send to everybody. And as you listen, when I was sleeping on the floor of this building, an intervention took place. And I was doing a series, 6 weeks. Write this down. It's possible. It's necessary. It's you. It's hard. It's worth it. It's done. You listen to this every day for 90 days. It will change your life. At the end of that series that I did, I received a check from King World for $2.5 million. It's the first time I ever saw a check with my name on it for $2.5 million. Of all the accomplishments that I have, the one that I'm proudest of, when my children said to me several years ago, "Daddy, we want to talk to you." And I said, "What is it?" "We want to say to you, we understand why you weren't there for major events for us. And now that we're grown and we have dreams, we know," and write this down, "dreams require sacrifice." None of these guys talk about sacrifice. How many of you know it's a sacrifice? It's a price to be paid, am I correct? It's a price to be paid. So you have to impact the mind of an entrepreneur, the heart of the entrepreneur, and the spirit. That spirit. They couldn't break Nelson Mandela. When John F. Kennedy, 1961, called together his cabinet, they were prepared to be there for several weeks. All of us are familiar with the story. What will it take for us to go to the moon? Werner Van Braun spoke 5 words. 5 words. I was in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I told this story to the South African football team. And I said, "It's been predicted you're going to lose. You're going to the home court of your opposition, the Kings. But if you get this, the home court advantage won't matter." When the president looked at Werner Vaughn and said, "What will it take?" he spoke 5 words. And on those 5 words, he ignited a $21 billion budget for man to go to the moon. He said 5 words: the will to do it. That's all he said. The will to do it. They tried to break Nelson Mandela's spirit, but he had the will to do it. Some of you couldn't afford to be here, but you're here because you had the will to do it. People are saying you won't find investors. You're crazy, but you're holding on to your dream because in your heart of hearts, you know you have the will to do it. You have something special. You have greatness within you. You have the will to do it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Put your hands together for Let's Grow! Thank you.